What's poppin'? I want to get through this as quickly as possible. I don't want this to be my life's work. I never did. So let's start here. So this doink allowed this doink. Peter Shakeshaft allowed his son, James Shakeshaft, to hire this doink, Matt Haycox, so Jamie hired him as a consultant for Vin-X, allegedly, while I worked for Vin-X, amongst other things, while I worked for Vin-X. And I met Matt Haycox. He was invited to the Christmas party. It was in January, but it was essentially the Christmas party, 3rd of January 2023, the night I was drugged and raped. I don't know if I have to say allegedly when I know it happened, but let's just say allegedly, just to cover my bases. And I met him and I was immediately unimpressed. I found him a real slime ball, really just gave me the creeps immediately. And I got the impression that he was trying to impress me with a number of self-proclaimed accolades I thought were absolutely unimpressive. Such as he turned round a business who was, which was £300,000 in the red and made a £30,000 profit. That's not turning it around. I was disappointed that Jamie was paying this guy allegedly thousands and thousands of pounds to make some kind of difference to Vin-X when Matt Haycox had zero experience and still has zero experience in anything other than fraud by the looks of things. Something else that really creeped me out, which I found out later, was that Matt Haycox had contact with a friend of my former boss at a different wine brokerage and began a channel on YouTube talking about wine. And I got the sense, the way he was speaking to me, I really got the sense that he'd been following me and my career for a while, which was just so creepy. All of it was creepy. In my view, Chris Robshaw and Camilla Kerslake are just, I was going to say a tiny bit less, but equally slimy as people, actually. And I really wish I'd left. But because I had my appraisal set for the next day by Jamie Shakeshaft, I didn't feel I could leave. So, yeah, just disgusting people. But anyway, so Matt Haycox was trying to impress me and telling me things like he worked as a magician for bread. He was paid in bread by a restaurant many years ago, which is not impressive. It's just not what you lead with. I don't even think you should bring it up. But yeah, certainly in my view, one of the most disgusting people I'd ever met. And considering that Jamie Shakeshaft is completely inexperienced and has no idea how to do due diligence and has no commercial acumen whatsoever, I allege, he would be impressed by someone like this. I imagine he would think it was really cool that he got away with well, maybe not got away with, but managed to sidestep a load of fraud and previously ran strip clubs. But I don't think it's very discerning that the so-called CEO of a wine firm hire someone like this as a consultant, because again, he adds no value whatsoever. Let's just take a look at this. So either around the time or before he was hired, Matt Haycox produced this episode of a podcast entitled $40 million fraud, how Chris Bentley pulled it off, ! So it would appear to me by the title that Matt Haycox was impressed by someone getting away with fraud. I've not listened to the episode and I won't put myself through that. I've been through enough. But that's certainly what it suggests. And I can't imagine Jamie Shakeshaft, like I said before, I can't imagine him doing any due diligence. I think he'd have to Google the term due diligence to even have a vague understanding of what it means. But a quick Google search shows you the type of person Matt Haycox is. And he's clearly not fit to consult anyone, in my view. He hasn't done anything worthy of sharing. I don't get the impression he has worked in a commercial environment, because making 30k before a business goes to the wall that's 300 grand in debt isn't an achievement. Right, so let's read this embarrassing Sun article. He's put a photo of himself in the Sun, which I'll have to scroll down, but I don't like seeing it. And he's showing his arse. He's literally showing his arse, and it's inappropriate. They ban any nudity, I believe, which is a good thing, but I might not read it. The whole thing anyway. Exclusive, which would imply that Matt Haycox has provided all the commentary for this article. Exclusive, naked ambition. Wait, money, news, money. So it's in the money section. Like, why? But anyway, naked ambition. I was a strip club baron earning 3 million a year and blew 2 million on watches. I lost the lot overnight. Now yacht is my secret weapon. Watch the rich house, poor house entrepreneur reveal how he bounced back after hitting rock bottom. Just so gross. Gives me the creeps. With a strip club empire, £150,000, Ferraris and lavish holidays that cost more than £1 million, Matt Haycox lived the life of an ultimate playboy. That's another thing as well. When I met him, he kept boasting about spending £100,000 a month. And I was thinking, there are people who earn £1 million a month in this world, and they're not spending 10% of that. They're not. Some of them are, but not all of them. And there are people earning £10 million a month who aren't spending £100,000 a month. The Leeds-born entrepreneur, 43, was raking in up to £3 million a year in profit at his peak from Wildcats, Britain's biggest lap dancing club chain at the time, with 11 sites. Look at this pathetic picture. He's so gross. And look, he has stuffed a sock down his trousers, quite obviously. Gross. And here we see a woman. So this is obviously an old photo, but this lady here looks strikingly like Camilla Kerslake in my view. So the fact that Matt Haycox, Camilla Kerslake and Chris Robshaw were all at the event where I allege I was drugged and raped, and I do remember partly being raped because I was unconscious for most of it, but I was conscious for some of it. So anyway, the three of them, amongst others, were at the event. And I just think, like I said, she looks strikingly like Camilla Kerslake. So I believe they knew each other, or they have known each other for quite a while. Oh, gross. I'm just scrolling because I've got to be careful of that horrible photo of him showing his arse. Plus, he reveals how he bounced back to become 10 times richer and now lives an even more lavish lifestyle where he pays himself £100,000 a month. Yeah, from whose money? Or from where? Matt says, I made some catastrophic mistakes, but I was young and full of ego. I paid the price for all that. I had built my house on a bed of sand. All of a sudden, the whole lot came tumbling down. So I was trying to be neutral in as much as I possibly could in conversations throughout the night, and I said something along the lines of, when you build, when something is built on weak foundations, then it's bound to fall down. So, yeah, they're all just trolling me and copying me in. It's just gross. I allege. While I had a high turnover profitable business, I'd built it on massive debt. I'd had to borrow a lot of money to open up the clubs and other businesses and naively thought I'd always be able to borrow until the credit crunch. Yeah, no idea what a business plan is then, I guess. When the financial markets crashed in 2008, his creditors demanded he paid back the huge loans in full. If they needed £1 million, I could have found that, but it was more like 45 million, and that wasn't happening overnight. There is no way this type of caliber of person, in my view, this caliber of person and someone so lacking in commercial acumen could make millions and millions of pounds. Like, unless misconduct is involved, in my view. I went from hero to zero in literally a few weeks. It wasn't like a long lingering decline that eventually led to death. It was like you had found out you have a life-ending illness, say your goodbyes right away and you're gone. The downfall was very quick. When the first person attacked to make me bankrupt, I never put up a fight because if it wasn't them, it would have been the 85 other people I owed substantial amounts of money to. Like, I put my hands up and waved the white flag and I lost everything. No, oh God, I shouldn't have to explain it. But anyway, when was this published? Let's just check. So 6th of August 2024. Anyway, let's get to this. So when was this published? October 14th, 2025. So prior to this article being published and prior to Matt Haycox being hired at Vin-X, there were a number of articles, or at least kind of press releases published or releases published, which told us that Matt Haycox was up for fraud, was being investigated for fraud, and was still hired by Jamie Shakeshaft and Peter Shakeshaft at Vin-X, because as the founder and founding director, Peter Shakeshaft, even if he didn't directly hire Matt Haycox as a consultant, he is still responsible, as well as Jamie Shakeshaft. So there was this information existed online, and he was still given a consultancy role and paid thousands of pounds, allegedly. And with all my expertise and proven performance, I was given nothing, no promotion, no pay rise, no recognition whatsoever. But birds of a feather flock together, and these people seem very comfortable in environments of built on misconduct and fraud. So, Matt Haycox, I'm a liar, but I'm no fraudster. This is from, I can't see let me just check, businesscloud.co.uk. A judge has ruled against the Dubai-based businessman after Scott Fletcher took legal action over a £4.5 million investment deal that went bad. It's a story that connects Dubai's ultra-modern skyscrapers, the north of England, and a manor house in East Sussex. The two main characters in a plot that could come straight out of a Hollywood movie are high-profile tech entrepreneur and investor Scott Fletcher and a social media personality and podcast host, Matt Haycox. At best. I mean, social media personality and podcast host, that's describing him in the most flattering way possible, in my view. The two, who have swapped the north for the luxury lifestyle, futuristic skyline and all-year-round sun that Dubai offers, are embroiled in an increasingly acrimonious court case about a multi-million-pound investment deal that went bad. Now a court has ruled in favour of Fletcher, founder of Manchester-based NAS Group and chairman of Godel Technologies, after he accused Haycox of commercial fraud. The serial tech investor declared on social media, "Finally, justice has been served, but a cost hearing in December is unlikely to be the end of this remarkable story." It all began in 2022 when Haycox approached Fletcher with an investment opportunity relating to the Grade 2 listed Homestall Manor in East Sussex. Haycox hails from Leeds and describes himself on Instagram as an investor, brand builder and capital raiser. He claims to have provided nearly £1 billion in funding to UK businesses and invested in over 100 companies. I just don't see it. Because you'd think you'd have 1% of 1 billion. If you're raising, you'd think you'd have at least 1%. And he's got nothing, allegedly. No Bollocks with Matt Haycox podcast. As well as being the founder and CEO of the Matt Haycox Group, which in my view means absolutely nothing, he also hosts the podcast No Bollocks with Matt Haycox and has around 50,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah, but very little engagement. Not the type of engagement you would expect from 50,000 YouTube subscribers. Set in 28 acres, Homestall Manor is a different world from Dubai's modern skyline. The part medieval, part Tudor detached property is currently on the market with an asking price of £3.25 million. Under the terms of the deal, the money was to have been lent onwards to the owners of Homestall Manor to fund a luxury hotel renovation. Fletcher, who is no stranger himself to Instagram with nearly 10,000 followers of his own, readily agreed to invest £4.5 million. For his part, Haycox acted as a broker for special purpose vehicles, SPVs, connected to a company called Huddle Capital, which is now in administration. Haycox told Business Cloud it was a genuine loan transaction, but said the loan did not complete. I wonder why. He said in January 2023 he discovered a portion of Fletcher's £4.5 million investment had been misallocated into another deal. Was that maybe to buy something for himself? Just asking questions. Look at this. It's just embarrassing. Who is he talking to? I allege he is crazy. Oh, he's one of the most vile human beings I've ever come across, and that's my opinion. Haycox, who disclosed to Business Cloud that he'd twice been declared bankrupt, added, "I then made a decision, wrong in hindsight, not to tell Scott immediately, and to work quietly to ensure he was repaid. I accept that was a mistake." Instead, he carried on providing Fletcher with positive updates about the loan, which had never completed. Really? Not really surprising. Haycox added, Scott received circa 2.2 million, around 50% of his original investment, plus interest at 15% per annum. Those repayments and interest are not in dispute and are evidenced. In early 2024, when Scott learned the original deal had not completed, I explained what had happened. He responded reasonably and we agreed a plan to continue repayments. I just don't understand how he was funding these repayments. If everything else had fallen through, and when I say everything else, I don't just mean this deal. I mean everything he'd done by the looks of things, just in my view, and all the money he owed to other people, allegedly or proven. Anyway, none of this changes the fact that I lied to Scott about timing. I accept that and I own it. But the wider context that I was actively working to return his money and had already arranged repayment of around half of it has been conveniently ignored. This is not a fraud. It is a commercial deal that failed, followed by a spectacular falling out between two strong personalities who both refused to back down. Well, I'm guessing Fletcher refused to back down because you had a few million of his money. Did you not? Or did he not, I should say? I would want my £2.5 million back. Anyway, or however much it was that he was owed. For nearly 20 years, I have worked with investors who continue to do business with me and who have earned handsomely through their relationship with me. I just don't believe that. No other investor has alleged fraud because there hasn't been any. I'm not pretending to be an angel. I made a serious error in how I handled disclosure and I've learned from it. Appeal. Haycox says he plans to appeal Judge Richard Pierce's summary judgment. The narrative of a helpless victim and a fraudster is false, he said. This is a complex commercial dispute. The appeal will address the issues the court did not fully consider. Fletcher is currently owed more than £2 million of his original investment through a family trust that he created called Lowry Trading. He told Business Cloud, Haycox continues to spout the same narrative that he did in court. He cannot get away from the fact that he is a proven liar and now has a judgment against him for deceit and fraudulent misrepresentation. No, he can't get away from that. And that's who directors of Vin-X chose to do business with and hire as a consultant. Disgusting. Anyway, deceived. Writing earlier on LinkedIn, Fletcher said, Haycox deceived me to invest millions of pounds in an investment which he knew had not completed. He then maintained the lie through various purported lending updates thereafter. I like to think of myself as an astute businessman, yet Haycox managed to trick me, and he did so with extraordinary levels of deception across a long period of time. However, the odds of Fletcher getting any more of his investment back appear remote, judging by Haycox's defiant tone. I will fight this to the end of the earth, he told Business Cloud. I categorically and morally believe I don't owe him any money. I personally didn't receive a penny of his money. Well, I don't believe that. And I also strongly believe that Haycox was given access to emails I sent Peter Shakeshaft because he's echoing my language throughout. His vocabulary is, I allege, not usually better than a primary school pupil. And that's an insult to a lot of primary school kids. But terms like categorically, morally, and narrative, and so on, I'm not saying I own these words, but they were used in emails to Peter Shakeshaft, and it seems that Matt Haycox's vocabulary has improved considerably since meeting me and since I allege Peter or Jamie shared emails with him. Did I have anything else to read? No, I mean, there are one or two other articles, but we're at over 20 minutes now, so I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching.